Collins needs to take gummies, and Matt needs to turn into Jesus.
Oh my god.
I can't wait. I can't wait to tell people about this. Yemi Bakayoko. Oh, yeah. Samina Mina. Edward Mende. Samina Mina Sam Sadakte. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving.
The flag stays down!
Welcome to another episode of the Flag Stays Down podcast, Disappointment Edition. Boys, another match of drop points against relegation teams. But before we start, full house, myself, Andy, we got Parker, we got Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Fantastic. Now that I just found out that Zoom does gesture reactions, it's been quite an enjoyable pre-pod, and now I have something to look forward to during all my Zoom meetings now. So I'm very excited to unleash this new animal to my work environment and just see what happens. Yeah, I mean, yeah, things are going all right. Shitty game today, but what do you expect? To be fair, and guys, I told you this, I kind of called it before the match started. So sorry in advance. Didn't mean to, but Cinnamon McGillicuddy himself, Ollie McBurney, just a great name. And I can't even really be that mad about it, but no, things are going well. Everything's good. Happy to be here on a Sunday night, just catching up and talking with you boys. So all good. Parks,
you cannot be disappointed in a match when you had no expectations in said match to begin with. So I'm like 4 steps ahead of you guys. I have a smile on my face because I had okay, I'm lying. I did have expectations that we would pull through, but didn't go our way. But this is Volatility FC. This is Jekyll and Hyde FC. This is a million other names that we can think of. Most of them are not good or characterize what would be a healthy, mentally stable team or anything like that. But we'll get into all that. It wasn't just disappointment though, Collins. You always bury the midweek game, and we were triumphant on Thursday against 6th place Man United, where we came back and scored 2 in the depths of the game to bring it back, not just from a draw, but from a losing position to secure a win. So we did drop points against a relegation side. Yes, that was bad, but we did take points away from the team that's in 6th, so that is good. So it's a very neutral week overall. Everything else is good in life. Have a friend visit this week. One of Carolyn's good friends came, and our streak of having phenomenal weather right before someone comes and visits us, and then they come and it turns to shit and it goes to like 40 and rain. It continues. So if you want to bet on the weather in Colorado, just let me know and I'll tell you when people are coming to visit us, because it seems to work out that way. Aside from that, today was great. Today was beautiful, and then went to Boulder and kind of hung around and did some stuff there. But weekend's good, works fine, life's good, guys. What do we have to complain about? Just the fact that our team drives us insane a little bit. That's about it. AC, how are you, man?
I'm doing how I can do. We'll just put it that way. I'm exhausted. Wife and I went to go see one of our favorite comedians last night in Madison. Had some good drinks, some good food, some good laughs, and then I had to come home and watch what was just a like I said, disappointment. Um, I will say though, Sheffield United are the all name team. You got Cinnamon McGillicuddy, Ollie McBurney himself, uh, Oliver Arblaster. I loved every time his name was called. Gustavo Hammer, Anel Ahmedhodzic, and Ivo Gerbic. Oh my gosh, it's so fun, so fun. But no, I don't know. It was a poor way to end the weekend. But I'm at the point where I was almost like last year, where it was okay. It happened. I I'm done caring at this point, kind of, as you guys know. But as we do every week, we'll kick it off here with just our initial match reaction. I think we all touched on it just a little bit here, but Parker, we'll start with you. What's your biggest takeaway from today?
Biggest takeaway is Noni might be our best pure finisher on the team. I mean, when he's got ball at his feet from 20 yards out, he's probably our most consistent finisher, just considering Cole Palmer takes a whole hell of a lot more shots than he does. When he strikes a ball, it's clean. That's probably the biggest takeaway I have. Obviously disappointing. Conceding late. It seems like games keep coming down to the depths, and the phrase that I know you mentioned, Collins, in the group chat, and I've said to myself 1,000 times, is just like, we got to kill off games. Like, no lead seems like it's safe, and we're good enough to see out a 2-1 win against Sheffield, and we weren't able to do it. Other small takeaways, seems like Silva can still play, which is good. At least in bursts, he at least knows what he's doing when he's out there, or at least knows where he should be and where everyone else should be. Whether or not he can get to those spots still is, remains to be seen, and he's kind of a step behind there. But our defense looked fairly different, right? We had two of the four not playing, and one of the ones that has been playing out of position with the Sassi. So it's tough when you want to rotate and give people some playing time and things like that, and you do it against the team that has 15 points and you have almost triple their points, and then you still drop points to them. So that was frustrating. Overall frustrating. I know when these things happen, it feels like such a let off, especially when we feel like we have momentum. And so, it's just a roller coaster, and it has been for most of the year. I still think there's more positives than negatives, but it's hard to defend a team that does what they did today.
In a match like this, I'm often reminded of Rob Schneider in the movie The Waterboy. Oh no, we suck again. That's kind of where I landed. And we've seen this, and this isn't even a this year problem. We've seen this probably for the last 4 years of just letting relegation teams, take points away from us. I can't explain it. I don't know why, but it's annoying at this point, right? How can we put on performances, kind of like we did against United, right? That was a good, hard fought win. Like that's a lot to be proud of there. And then how can you turn something like this? There's just a lot of questions. But I don't even know if it's questions anymore. It's boils down to really one thing. What the hell is going on, right? Like, what the hell? How do we play like this one match and play like we did today in another match? I don't understand it. It's just kind of boggles my mind as to how we're able to show up and show out and then just not even look like we're a fully put together team. It's tough to explain, but that's the joys of being a Chelsea fan, I guess. You kind of roll with every single one of the punches that come from every single direction.
And my reaction, I'm going to sound like a broken record on this, but we have no management in this team. We have no leadership in this team, and that comes from the dugout. What was this formation we were playing today? What there was no one. Cucurella was the only person on the left. Cole Palmer was in the middle, which is, as we've seen, not his best position in this squad. You can't tell me that Noni can't dribble a little bit on the left. I know he's, footed wise, it's not his preferred position, but he's at least a winger you can throw out there. Raz plays both sides. We've seen Mudryk try to play both sides. What's going on there? If I understand Gusto's not available because he was feeling ill midweek, but then, why not go to 3 at the back? Something like that. Instead of this weird formation. And then Conor Gallagher is looking useless out there as the captain. I forgot for long stretches of the game that he was even on the pitch. So, Carney Chukwuemeka has a good match and good appearance in his last time out against Manchester United. Why not throw him out there? Subs came way too late and were the wrong subs at the end of the day. Benoit Badiashile, who has been terrible this season, you bring him in to close a game, not a good move. Not at all. He needs to be sent out on loan or something to build his confidence, but I don't want to see him appear ever again. Well, this year. Just the amount of out of positionness and seemingly like lack of vision defensively and offensively. We can hold the ball all we want for 70-80% of the game, but there's no I don't know, there's no togetherness, there's no team aspect of it, there's no unified vision of, hey, this is how we're going to defend, this is where everybody needs to be. There were so many times when we had either Chalobah, Silva, or Disasi, 2 out of those 3, or even 3 out of those 3, basically in the same spot. Why is that happening? And then you look forward in attack, and I looked at our XG numbers, and they match exactly what I saw with my eyes. Our XG was 0.5. We didn't deserve any goals today. We didn't threaten. Noni had the best chance, but even that I chalked that up to poor goalkeeping. We need a tactician in here. Poach needs to bring in an offensive and a defensive coordinator, or we need somebody who can manage a team and has a tactical vision. But again, that's me sounding like a broken record. Parker, I know, speaking of leadership, Thiago Silva's back. I know you wanted to chat a little bit about that today. What do you make of Thiago Silva's appearance?
I mean, it's great to see him back, to be honest. Like, it's good to see that he wasn't completely like blacklisted from his significant other's tweets. It's a squad that I think I said it already. Like, if you're going to rotate anyone, this is the game to do it against. Like, it's just, unfortunately, we're 10th, 9th through 11th in the league. Like, I know if we would have won, we would have been 3 points off of 6. So I know that is still like a big game, but the league hasn't been sort of our priority since, I don't know, week 8 or something like that. It doesn't feel like it's been our top priority. You're going to rotate people in. This is the match to do it. I think Silva, seeing him out there was good. Especially because Badiashile has been not good. To your point, Collins, like, I have not wanted to see him out there. What I missed is, the lack of gusto really hurts us. And then Disasi's got to play right back. He does not look comfortable at a right back at all. Made me miss Callum Hudson-Odoi, to be completely honest with you guys. Like, I miss having like a sort of pseudo person we could throw back there, because Disasi just doesn't look willing to get forward, hard to get back. The running aspect, just the fitness that Gusto brings. I mean, Gusto's a maniac with his fitness and his speed out there. And like James is also great, but not to that level. And like Disasi's just a big step down when you compare those guys there. I agree with a lot of your comments you said, Andy. It's like the one thing I don't though is like I like seeing Noni out there because I think he deserved a start. I think he deserved like a big match where he could really kind of prove himself over a long stretch. That means you have to shift over the player that's been the most informed, our best player with Cole Palmer, to the middle. I don't mind it for a match. Where I think we really got let down is Gallagher on the left. And I've been a Gallagher stan this whole year. I've praised him a lot. I still think a lot of him, but that position is not for him. And I think you get caught between a rock and a hard place with this one, because it's like, this is a game where you should drop him and play Mudryk, who's been in form, and you play him on the left. You don't play Conor Gallagher, but Conor Gallagher is your active captain. And so what you lose, you gain in you're losing leadership and you're gaining talent and the right position. And then, who gets the ban? Silva, I'm guessing, probably in this situation. We're running out of captains. We're running out of leadership. That's why I liked seeing Silva out there, is for that little bit of leadership. Silva knows what he's doing and he knows where everyone needs to be. So I liked seeing that, even though Silva's 39 and he's not himself always in the right spots. But I think he understands the game so well that he knows where everyone should be, and he's a floor general out there on the pitch. So I liked it. I don't love it, especially long term, especially every match kind of a love it. But I mean, it was enjoyable to see him out there again.
He's still arguably one of our best finishers on the team. Tell me I'm wrong. Like he's still a threat in the box. Granted, that one nobody was even on him, so good finish. But he is still a threat from corners. One of the things that actually surprised me was the quality of our corners, which I don't think I've ever said, ever. We did have many, which is probably why it looked so good. But the quality of our corners was actually pretty okay. But I mean, when you have a back line, like a makeshift, I'm calling it a makeshift back line. That's what you had. You need somebody out there to help lead. It had to be Thiago Silva. He did have that one kind of slip up, but okay, fine. Name anybody else who hasn't had a slip up on the defensive side, who's been playing every single match, right? Disasi scored something similar. Like it's okay, right? Like stuff's gonna happen, whatever. I like seeing him out there. I don't think, and Collins, I know that you had brought this up earlier when we were talking about Silva a few weeks back, maybe a month back. Like slowing down the pace to keep up with Thiago Silva, like the pace slowed down. I don't think that had anything to do today with Thiago Silva. I don't think that had anything to do with him being out there. I do agree, and I'm probably the biggest supporter of Conor Gallagher between the three of us. I even said, I was thinking to myself, and I think Parker, I told you, I was like, Conor should probably be the first person subbed, like Carney for Conor, because he hasn't done much today. Like it just, granted he's out of position, but still he wasn't allowed the freedom to do what he does best, which is kind of run around and just cause some chaos. He wasn't able to. So I thought that he should have been the first person subbed off. It's not a knock on him, it just wasn't what he was kind of put in a situation where he couldn't win. The left is not for him. He wasn't allowed the freedom to do what he does at that point. He's just kind of out there trying to run and do some things. The other thing that I kind of had an issue with was, all right, sorry, I'm kind of going back to the game, but I just thought about this. why was Caicedo up so high? I don't think he's known for his finishing. It reminded me of when N'Golo Kante would always get forward and we'd be like, please no, give it to somebody else. That's kind of how I felt with Caicedo. Like he had a couple chances where he was trying to run into the box or he was like the only person in the box. I'm like, what is going on? It was weird. So Colin's kind of tying into what you said about like tactics and stuff. Like it seemed weird. I guess that's the best way I'll phrase it. But anyways, going back to the topic at hand, good to see Thiago Silva out there again. I think he arguably one of our better players today. So if you can, he's good to have on your team. He does provide that leadership. He is, I think, much better than Trev. He's obviously, and it hurts my heart to say this, but he is still a little bit better than Alfie, but Alfie's got, I think, a higher ceiling. But it's just one of those things, right? We're short at that position. We needed him out there, and I think he played well today.
Boy, I'm okay. You guys going positive with Thiago. I saw indifference out of him. I saw the same attitude that I have towards this team right now out of Thiago Silva. Yes, he scored on a wide open corner. Awesome. I didn't see him celebrate the goal. You know, he's somebody who's comes off as a very passionate person. At least this, I didn't rewatch the goal, so I don't know. But my initial watching of it, I did not see a celebration out of him on that. You know, he fucked up and almost gave up a goal. If not for Caicedo blocking it, didn't see any reaction shots of him off of that. You know, normally we go through these stretches where we concede a lot of possession, we concede shots, and you can see Thiago Silva getting pissed at teammates. I didn't see any of that today. It looked like he knows his time at the club is coming to an end shortly. It looks like he knows that the pain and suffering of playing for this team is almost over, and he's ready to go home. I don't want that. We are what, 4-5 points out of Europe at this point with a game in hand. I don't want indifference out there. I don't care if you're 39 and you're an all-time legendary defender and all that. If you are out there with malaise and indifference, I throw Alfie out there at that point. Throw somebody who cares out there, because he's not bringing leadership if he is giving off the attitude that at least I thought I was picking up on. It's useless then having him out there, because if he's not out, if he's not providing leadership, then he's not out there for anything. His legs are too old to be providing anything. Now I know, again, we are short at that position at the moment due to injury, but I will give credit where credit is due. Trev, I thought, had a much better game than Thiago Silva, and for one instance in particular, there Sheffield playing on a bit of a breakaway in the second half, and right along the far touchline, Trev, instead of taking the ball, turning, playing it back to Petrovic, blasted the ball 100 miles an hour, seemingly off of a fan's face about 30 rows up. That's what we need to do. Kick the ball out. Stop with all the playing it back to Petrovic and then Petrovic fucking it up because he can't distribute the ball. Just blast it out of bounds and hope to get it back off the throw-in. So yes, Thiago Silva for me, he's another player that I don't care if he features again this year.
Yeah, I agree with you on the goal. I think some of it is a little bit of the fact that he's been iced out for as long as he is, right? Like there's just a little bit of friction. But I did see him playing floor general. So I did see him yelling and pissed off at his teammates for not being in the right spot. I saw him pointing, and I saw him actively, controlling the area around him and telling people what to do. So I see a little bit of the point. I see a little bit of the other side of it too, because like I watched him, and I wanted to keep kind of a keen eye on him just because he was sort of a different part of the team this week. So I thought he still like has some passion. I get the not celebrating part, right? It kind of is what it is. But I still think he's got passion for the team, and I think he still buys into the team. So I didn't see it to the same degree you did.
Well,
Yeah.
looking at the sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I would agree with that. So I'll kind of split right down the middle. I didn't see the same level of yelling that we're used to seeing out of Thiago Silva, if we'll put it like that, kind of the same level that it's usually been at. It was there, just maybe not to the same level. The goal thing, whatever. I think we're looking too much into one goal of a very trying year for not only fans but also players. And with everything that's happened with him recently, who knows what's going on behind closed doors. So again, that whatever. I I don't know. I think that he was still a very solid defender, put on a very solid performance. I think I'm not saying put him in the starting 11 every week. I'm not saying that, but I do think that he's still probably one of our better center backs until we get a lot of these injuries resolved. Like, I'm not putting Benoit above him. Again, I'm more on Thiago's side than I would be Trev. Trev, like you said, he didn't play bad at all. Nothing to really kind of scream up about. That through ball between him and Cucurella, I thought could have been. There was a lot of blame to go around on that goal. We'll just call it like that. But again, at that point, you're kind of nitpicking for trying to compare two players that haven't really featured a ton this season. So I think it's kind of harsh on them.
So where does Alfie Gilchrist fit into the center back depth chart?
The interesting question. I think he's more of a backup right back than he is a backup center back at this stage. Which is why I'm like mad I didn't see him at right back, because to me it made more sense to start him and then move Disasi and have Disasi Silva be your partnership at center back. That's what I would have done if I was manager for a day. What I really liked out of Alfie when he came on against United, and I was just looking this up to see what minute he came on in the 75th minute with Trev. Bold call to put on two defenders when you're down 3-2, but I know it was like for like, right? It was Malo Gusto who I think picked up a knock, and then Disasi as well. So it's like for like, and you have 5 subs to use. So I mean, I'm not super mad about the subs. It's just kind of funny timing. But what I saw out of Alfie is mini Thiago Silva. He's mini floor general. Drink every time Alfie Gilchrist points in the United match from the 75th minute on, and I guarantee you get pretty damn hammered. Watch it back. I swear to God, he is pointing and directing traffic the entire time. He's like, nope, we're going here. We're doing this. He's doing that the entire time. And I like that. I like that he takes charge. I think he wears that as kind of a badge of honor. And it seems like he understands what's going on with the game. So I really enjoy his leadership, because I think that's what defensive leaders are made out of, is commanding your troops. It's telling people where to go, telling people where they need to be, reminding people of, the tactics that I hope are instilled on a weekly basis at training camps. It remains to be seen, but we'll assume that goes on, those conversations happen. So I don't know why he didn't feature in this Sheffield match. I thought that would have been a perfect opportunity for him, considering no Malo Gusto, considering no Reece James. Put him at right back, which he seems to be fairly comfortable in. Start your 2 center backs that you're more comfortable with, and have less variability. I think Disasi out of position doesn't do us any good, and we've seen that probably 6 matches now this year. It's an experiment that's gone wrong, and I don't like it. So that's where I put him in the depth chart. Where he starts at center back, or where he fits at center back, fairly low. down the charts, I would say. I don't know if I would put him above Body of Shield, but I'd put him probably in the same place in my mind right now.
I think, and so I haven't watched the United match, but I'm definitely going to go back and watch now. But I think even if he's, so I was just thinking about this as soon as Parker, you were saying, he's kind of pointing everywhere and stuff like that. Let's just say for a minute, he's not telling people where to go. Let's just say he's pointing out who's open, right? Let's just leave it at that. Even if he's doing that, that is still leaps and bounds better than what we're seeing out of not just the center backs, but I would say most of the team in general. That at least shows a level of engagement. Hell, even if he was pointing and following the ball, just he's
The
engaged
Lobot.
in the game. Like that's fine. He's engaged in the game. He's obviously invested in it. I'll take that. But I'm definitely gonna go back and watch that now because I feel like I'm gonna love all of it. But where he ranks, I mean, what would he probably be fourth, right? If we're looking Wes, Levi, Disasi,
Silva.
Close one. But I would say fourth or fifth with the notion that Silva's not going to be back next year. So that bumps him, I think, to fourth. Argument could be made that he could be fourth now. But I think Alfie's better than Trev. And then better than Benoit. So he's got a case for fourth, which in a very, at least this year, a very center back heavy team. Oh, sorry, forgot about Malangsar. Don't want to do that again. But in a very center back heavy team, like fourth ain't bad. Like, especially for a young kid, that's not too bad, especially when you look at who else is back there. But I agree with the right back thing. I think he is kind of our new RLC Cho, whatever person you want to throw him with, just that utility guy. Yeah, I think that's kind of where he'll slide in. I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing midfield one of these days if we were at a shortage. Like I could see him doing it. He's just very simple, straight to the point, and sometimes that's all you need.
And Parker, I'm glad you brought up the right back situation, and Matt, I agree with you about the utility ness of Alfie. I don't think Reece James plays meaningful minutes the rest of the season. I know they're talking about him coming back at the end of the month, but he shouldn't. He shouldn't. Ben Chilwell, who the fuck knows at this point? So really, you're looking thin defensively. So you've got Cucurella, and I think your best center back pairing that's healthy at the moment is Disasi and Trev. And then on the right, you've got Malagusto. I think Thiago Silva, just because he's the elder statesman, will be your next man up for center back. But I think Alfie is your next man up after that for all four across the back. I agree with you, Parker. I don't know why he didn't play today. You're playing the worst team in the division, who's given up the most goals. They provided the list today of how many games they've given up 5 or more goals this year. It was like 5 or 6 times. You have to figure they had a game earlier this season where they only had 17% of possession. Why not play a young guy in defense? Why do you need 3 center backs and Cucurella back there? This would have been the match to rotate that defense a little bit. Even with injuries, even with illness, this would have been the one. If you wanted to let Trev go out there and let Silva go up there, give Disasi a break. He's our minutes leader right now. Alfie could have played right back. It reminds me a lot of Lewis Hall, which is good and bad. Lewis Hall struggled to get minutes at Newcastle this year. So how much of it is, hey, he's playing on a bad team? But at the same time, I think Pochettino's got to have the nuts to play some academy guys at some point. Play some people who care. try to mix something up, because giving up 2 goals a game for the last 7 games and not having a clean sheet since January is ridiculous.
And I'm trying to remember, like, when he was with Spurs, I'm trying to remember because I don't know how much he like utilized the youth academy at Spurs. Like, I don't know how many guys like actually came through that he actually utilized. I wouldn't be able to tell you that offhand, but I'm just trying to think about like his teams and stuff like that. I think a lot of them were just new players, new like younger players that were brought in, not necessarily like guys coming through the academy, which that's an interesting dynamic if that holds any weight. All right. I'm not saying it's true or not, but I'm just something I'm kind of thinking about right now. If that is the case, if that is something to kind of look into, then our academy is going to have a tough time under him, right? If the whole plan is just bring in new players and then maybe use one academy guy when you have a overflow of great talent in our academy, that's going to be an issue. So just
Here's
something
the catch.
to think about.
Yeah, here's the catch 22. But that point is, I feel like his back is completely against the wall. He knows he's on the hot seat. Like whether what's happening in the press is true or not, like management can't be thrilled with the situation, even if they understand it takes time and all those things, right? So that leads me to believe the only conclusion is he put out the team that he thought had the best chance of winning. And when you do that, you sacrifice development of younger players to some degree. You put out the team that has played the most minutes, that whether they're in position or out of position, they've gelled together enough and they've been the most consistent parts of our team. And it has led to okay-ish results in the last 6 games. Like you ride with what's going on and you ride with what's working. Again, to some degree, it's not to the perfect degree, but you ride with what's going on. You try to control the variables, because if you win, you're 3 points out of 6th place, and that's a big deal. And I think that would have that's the hump that we just can't get over right now. We can't. We take 2 steps forward, 1.97 steps backwards, right, Collins? Something like that. It's we just can't we can't break through. We can't have that string of form, the string of matches to kind of do it. And it's frustrating, because every time this team gives you hope, it finds a way to take it away almost instantaneously.
Well, I think a good example of this, and I'm not saying Nico Jackson needs to be benched. I think he's played really well, over the last 4 or 5 months. He's even calmed down in terms of yellow cards. He's been on that 9th yellow card for forever now. But Poach said during AFCON, after we sold Broya, hey, we can't forget about David Washington. He's an important part of this team, and he's a player who deserves to play. Has he featured at all since AFCON? Yeah, he went on a string of like 4 or 5 games where he wasn't even in the match day squad. Like, you got to back these players. It's not like you're using experience over youth or anything like that. All these guys are young. All these guys are youthful. David Washington just happens to be about 2-3 years younger than the guys you have out there at the moment. But you have to use what you have. This is very much like Graham Potter. It's very much like Thomas Tuchel at the end. Very much like Frank. He seems to have his guys and doesn't deviate too far from that, doesn't use the full extent of his squad. And again, this would have been a great match to give some of those guys a trot out.
David Washington has featured 9 minutes this year total.
And I think I remember that match. It was like in October.
It was Brentford, and it was in October.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. He featured 9 minutes against Brentford. And that is it. And if you look at the string of it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight not in the squad, 2 on the bench, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight not on the squad.
Yeah, needs some better man management, in my opinion. Fresh legs at striker. Nico Jackson runs a lot. And so, end of the match, he gets a little tired. Perfect. Bring on some fresh legs. But I'm not saying Nico Jackson needs to be benched. I think he's played really well. All right. Well, another thing I do want to talk about here, we talked about Thiago Silva a little bit. We talked a little bit about Conor Gallagher, and that is the captaincy. I've seen some things in the last couple weeks that have led me to a conclusion that Conor Gallagher should not be the captain, but another one of his midfielder friends should be. That's Enzo Fernandez. Matt, you haven't watched the Man U match yet, but Parker, some of the non-footballing stuff that happened in that match leads me to believe that Enzo should be the one carrying that that patch. Squaring up to Mace after Mace throws a little hissy fit in the 90th minute, 87th minute, something like that. Going up to him after the game-winning goal, slapping the badge, saying, "Remember where you are now," and then saying some words I can't. Well, we cuss enough, but I'm not going to say those words on this pod. And even going back a little bit further than that, there was the whole penalty situation where Enzo took the ball away from Raheem Sterling and gave it to Cole Palmer earlier this year. Enzo seems to get the club. I hate throwing around the phrase proper Chelsea, but Enzo to me has shown that over the last probably 6-ish months.
I'm gonna just go ahead and say that Gallagher is proper Chelsea. Doesn't mean he should be the captain. I'm actually agreeing with you that he probably shouldn't be. I want there to be a more well-defined couple of things when we start next year. One, what is the tiering of captain that goes beyond 2? Because if we learned this year was captain and vice captain, those can both be hurt at the same time. What is the tiering list after that? 2 is who takes penalties. Tier list me that, because when Cole Palmer's out there, Cole Palmer's taking penalties. I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't give a fuck if you want it. There's no debate. 0. He's taking the penalties. If he's not on the pitch, there should be a designated second. If they're not on the pitch, there should be a designated third. I don't know who 2 and 3 are. I don't know who our top 5 are. Have we lined up for penalties this year?
I think we did once.
I can't recall. I can't recall it, but I'm not sure who that looks like right today. But it should be well defined in the team who's taking penalties, and it should not be a debate on the pitch. The Man United goal, Palmer's second. Like, there should be no, and maybe that's just a show for whatever, but like there should be no debate about who's actually taking that, even if Noni wins that thing. Like, it just should be no debate. I really like Enzo's game management style. I like Enzo's energy on the pitch. And I could definitely make an argument why it shouldn't be Conor. I don't know if this was true or not, but I think I remember seeing like Enzo's English may not have been up to snuff to take captaincy badge at a full-time basis. If that's the case, that's a very legitimate reason why he isn't our captain. I don't think Conor's a non-deserving captain. I think he's a decent captain, considering who we have playing and featuring for us. But I wouldn't change anything this year. I would just make it iced and etched in stone of where it sits next year, because Enzo having a full year, this will be his first full season for Chelsea under his belt, partial season last year, and then a summer. Like, I think he's going to emerge as either your captain or your sort of de facto captain of who's managing the team on the pitch.
But the way this season has gone, I don't give a shit who's captain. Roll the dice. where High Man gets the band. I don't care right now because it's such a revolving door because people are out injured. Connor's the only one who's not out injured, right? Like if he was the third tier, right, behind, Reese and Chills, fine. He hasn't been injured, so he's the captain. I get it. I do agree that this season we're learning a lot more about our team. I think that also is something that is going to come out of it. So I don't really care who wears the armband this year because it's just such a toss up. But I do think, and I do agree that there needs to be some things set in stone for next year. Um, and whatever that is, we'll find out then. But right now, for me, I don't see there being a difference with somebody else wearing the armband. I don't think that's the case. You can definitely be a leader without the armband. And if it is just that gap, that English gap and getting up to speed with that to be able to communicate with officials, I could definitely understand that. Right? You would kind of want to default to somebody who is fluent with English. It doesn't have to be somebody from England, could be somebody else, obviously, but that's kind of your default if you want somebody to communicate with the officials. I could see that being a very valid point. But the thing is, you can also lead without wearing the armband. And I think that's probably what Enzo is doing right now. I think he's showing that he can do that. Whether he gets the armband or not, time will tell. But I think it's kind of irrelevant for the rest of this season, kind of who wears it. Next year, sure, it's going to carry some more weight, but this year, it's just whoever can talk to the official. That's the only kind of stock I put on the armband.
Just before you go, Cons, it's confirmed that Enzo at least knows one four-letter word that starts with a C in English. Just as Mason Mount.
My wife, oh man, it came up something else this weekend, but she's like, oh yeah, and then someone so and so said, see you next time. And I was like, what? What are you talking? And then I put it together in my head that's the word that you're referring to there. Yes, yes. No, but I get what you're, Matt. I get what you're saying in regards to like, oh, like the rest of the season, it doesn't really matter. Like we've had this same debate on managers. We're like, oh, the manager can't affect the team's offense. Manager can't affect this, can't affect that. In my mind, I understand that you guys have differing opinions on this, but in my mind, it's a top down thing. You just look at, for example, we are all former volleyball players. God, drink every time we say that on a pod. But you look at the teams that are organized and well drilled and all that. Oshkosh being the exception here. They come in, matching warm-ups, they warm up the exact same way. They're drilled from the top down with leadership. I think the same can be said in the footballing world. You need a manager who leads. You need a manager who sets that example, sets that tone, which we don't have. And the next thing you need is a captain who does the same thing. And you look across the league at the teams that do well, or at least, punch above their class. Arsenal, solid leader in Odegaard. He's their captain. John McGinn at Villa, again, very solid captain. Lewis Dunk at Brighton comes to mind. Tim Ream at Fulham. These are guys who set the tone, set the example. And then you even look back at previous Chelsea teams. Cesar Azpilicueta, class. John Terry, not class off the pitch, but class on the pitch. Set the tone for that team. We don't have that. Conor Gallagher, he's an academy guy. I understand that he's a fine player. He doesn't know how to captain. When do you see our captain arguing with the ref over terrible calls? Why wasn't he getting in the ref's face about Cole Palmer almost being murdered on the pitch today? Why is he not, delegating penalties? Yes, Poach says it's up to the players who wants to take penalties. Cool, then the captain needs to be picking the penalty taker. Why is he never in that discussion? He's always busy chirping at another player from another team. Conor Gallagher doesn't know how to captain. Enzo Fernandez, I understand that he doesn't captain Argentina. I'm not sure if he captained Benfica, but he knows how to win. I can see on the pitch out there that he knows how to lead. If we want to turn things around, if we want to get less sloppy, if we want to get more organized, then you need that leadership. You need someone wearing the armband who knows how to wear the armband. If it's Thiago Silva, fine. I understand it. But Conor Gallagher is not that guy. And I think just having that discipline, that leadership for the last 7-8 games of this season, including some important cup games here, is pretty crucial. So there needs to be a change made. It can't just be Conor because he's the academy guy who made it.
And I don't remember, so I don't know if this is true or not. I thought Silva was the captain when like the season first started and Reese and Chills were not out there. Like I thought when Silva was featuring much more frequently and featuring on a weekly basis, I thought he wore the band. And again, I could be wrong here. What I think the change is he stopped and Conor still was. And so when he went out, then Conor was kind of like fourth pick captain. But then this game was like the weird one where Conor's worn it now for the past 6-7 games, and then Silva's in there and like who gets it kind of a thing. I could be making this up. I don't remember exactly, but if that's the case, it's a little bit head scratchy because it's always kind of been a hierarchical thing to me where you are the captain until a more senior captain is in, and then if they come in, even if they get subbed in, you give them the band. Like we've seen that before. I did notice that Conor actually gave the band to the right person before he got subbed off. So that's a positive. He didn't just hand it to the person that took his place and tell him to go give it to someone else. So we're making progress. He's learning. Yeah, I can't dispute what you said though. I think he should, as captain, you don't have a ton of duties. One is to protect your players, and the other is to delegate penalties. And yeah, he doesn't always do those things. I think he does some things well and other things not. I'm not going to defend him when I didn't see him do those things that you said, man. Like you're spot on with those comments.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Like those are things that he should be doing. But again, when you get thrown into something and you're not ready for it, and now, hey, surprise, you're the captain when that was probably the last thing on your mind. Like that's maybe just something he's not comfortable with, but he has to wear it because that was Poach's decision. Like for all intents and purposes, that might be the case, right? And so one thing I just kind of want to touch on just very quickly. Collins, you did say somebody who sets the tone. Conor's the guy that sets the tone. Let's be very clear about that. He is going to be the one that's going to go in and earn himself a yellow for a challenge if he needs to. He will do that. So I just want to that's the only thing I will go against you on. That's it.
He did set it today by disappearing.
That's the only thing he just set the tone. He will be the guy that's going out there and doing what he needs to try and, fire up the team if he needs to, right? He's willing to do that. That's just the one thing. Everything else, yes, I 100% agree with.
Yeah, here's just for a reference. Here's a breakdown of our Premier League. I don't have the cup data. Here's our Premier League captains this year. Reece James, 5 matches. Ben Chilwell, 8 matches. Conor Gallagher, 16 matches. Levi Colwill, 1 match. I notice a trend there. and it very clearly comes from the manager. And I'm not blaming Connor for being captain. It's not his choice to be captain. If my boss came to me and said, "Hey, you're the captain of the team," I'm taking it. Right? I'm like, cool, you trust me. I can, I'll do my best. But that's another thing where it comes top down. You got to have smarter choices. All right. Well, this is the last question here posed by Parker in our group chat. I don't know. It's not even really a question. It's a phrase. Perennial. Where do we go from here? FC. Parker. Where do we go from here?
I don't think we go to 6th, so I think that means we hover. We stay pretty much where we've been. 11th at the worst, 7th at the best, 6th or 8th at the best, probably. That's where I think we go. I think that our team is just too inconsistent to have proven otherwise. I know that in the last 7 or 8 matches we have, we can obviously win them all and change that future and change that outlook. I just haven't seen enough to prove that we can put together the string of matches to do so.
Relegation survivors. I like the amount of injuries that just seemingly pop up from week to week. Bettinelli is going to be our next center back. David Washington might make it out to the pitch. Alfie might be playing central attacking mid at this point. Like, who knows who's playing where? Like, it's crazy. I don't know. All I know is I'm going to continue on this roller coaster that is this Chelsea season, and I will wait for the ride to stop. I will get off. I will throw up a few times, and then I will get ready to do it all over again next season.
I like that. As Matt puts on the laser show here. This team, every time I say, "Oh man, we got a run of games coming up here, we should take all X amount of points, or we should take 10 out of 12 or something like that," we take 3 points. And it's like, oh, we're not going to win any of our next 5 games. And then we win all of them. Well, we've never won more than 3 in a row this year, but I have no fucking clue. Parker, I like your idea of probably no higher than 7th. We've won back-to-back games twice this year. And if you look at who we have left, it's a weird fixture list. I'll just run it down right here. Arsenal, it's written in the books already that we're going to beat them and ruin their title charge. So that's a win. Villa, kind of middling in the top 4 there. We'll lose. Bournemouth, we already drew with. We'll drop points to them again. Brighton will beat just because, it's Brighton. Everton will lose to because, again, bottom of the table. Forest will drop points to, and then we'll beat Spurs and West Ham. So who the fuck knows where that puts us? That is a mixed bag of shit right there. 7th. I'll go 7th being optimistic, and maybe an FA Cup final.
We played good against City, so who knows? If we win the FA Cup, it would be hysterical.
It reminds me of what was it, Wigan in 2015? They won the FA Cup and then also got relegated the same season.
That'll be us. We'll win the FA Cup and then get kicked out of Europe for not complying with FFP.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that would be perfect.
I'd love it.
Well, I once again want to apologize for anyone who listens to this podcast, because since we have become a podcast, it has been all downhill for Chelsea Football Club. But we will continue to ruin the lives of Chelsea fans by continuing the pod. So thank you again for listening. But boys, we are pushing the hour. Any closing thoughts?
I think you're onto something, because when I don't watch games, we come back in the 100th first minute. So I think I should just resign as my Chelsea fandom, and then the team can go on their winning ways.
I don't have that same kind of luck because either I don't watch the game and then you guys fully understand what it's like when I watch a game alone, or I do watch a game and then we just play like shit, or sometimes we win. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm doing everything I can on my side. I didn't buy a jersey this year, so like I'm doing my part as much as humanly possible
Superstition FC.
in full flight.
All right. Well, Matt, go ahead and order your Pochettino jersey. We can end this season.
My Tuchel one is still on back order.
All right. Well, on that wonderful note, good final thoughts, guys. Make sure to follow us on social media. We're at Flag Down Pod anywhere you get your socials, and you can also get us anywhere you get your podcasts. We're again at Flag Down Pod. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Make sure to tell us what terrible fans we are, but make sure to give us 5 stars. All right. Well, boys, it's been another wonderful week. I don't even know who we play next week, but I'm looking forward to talking as Matt throws up the fireworks. Looking forward to talking to you guys about it. So, till next week. Cheers.
They're boys.
So yeah.